soft hush of ancient winds carry you away. Breathe in, breathe out, and drift into the quiet cradle of myth. Long before the stars learned their names, there was only the vast velvet dark of chaos, a formless breath that held everything and nothing. From its gentle swirl rose Gaia, the deep-bosomed earth, warm and patient as a sleeping mother. She sighed, and mountains rose like slow dreams upon her back. She whispered, and rivers curled like silver threads through her valleys. Above her, the sky stretched white and blue. That was Uranus, her star-crowned husband, who poured soft rain upon her every night so flowers would open by morning. Together they cradled the first children of the world, the Titans, tall as cedar groves, gentle as twilight. Among them shone Cronus, golden-haired and thoughtful, and his sister Rhea, whose laughter sounded like distant bells. But time turns even in dreams. Uranus feared the strength of his children and pressed them back into Gaia's hidden caves. She ached for them, and in her sorrow she forged a sickle from star iron and gave it to Cronus one moonless night. With a whisper instead of a shout, he separated sky from earth. The heavens lifted higher, and the first true dawn painted the world in rose and gold. Cronus took the throne of the sky, but fear still fluttered in his heart like a trapped moth. An oracle sang to him in the wind, "Your own child will unseat you." So when Rhea bore him sons and daughters, he swallowed them whole, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, each vanishing like swallowed stars. Rhea wept silent tears that became the first dew. When the sixth child quickened within her, she wrapped her sorrow in resolve. She journeyed to the island of Crete, where nightingales sang lullabies older than memory. There, in a cave scented with wild thyme, she bore Zeus. Instead of the infant, she swaddled a stone in soft blankets and offered it to Cronus. He gulped it down without a glance, and the stone settled heavy in his belly like unspoken regret. Zeus grew in secret, nursed by the gentle goat Amalthea, whose milk tasted of honey and moonlight. Bees hummed around him, and the nymphs sang so softly that even the rocks learned patience. When he was strong enough to hold the sky in his gaze, he returned to his father disguised as a cupbearer. Into Cronus's wine he slipped a draught brewed from mustard and nectar. The Titan king drank, and the sky itself seemed to hiccup. One by one, his swallowed siblings emerged, whole, luminous, and kind-eyed, stepping into the world as though waking from a long nap. The brothers and sisters divided the realms with the gentleness of sharing bread. Zeus took the sky and its slow-moving clouds. Poseidon chose the cradle of the sea, where whales sing low and long. Hades accepted the quiet underworld, where memories glow like fireflies. They promised one another never to swallow, never to cage, only to guard. Yet harmony, like sleep, is fragile. The Titans, still loyal to Cronus, rose in a war that shook the mountains. For 10 slow years the earth trembled, but Zeus had a gift. The Cyclopes forged for him thunderbolts wrapped in cotton silence. When he finally released them, they lit the sky like brief fireflies, and the Titans yielded, not in rage, but in weary acceptance. They were laid to rest beneath the roots of the world, where they dream the dreams that make volcanoes sigh. Peace folded over the world like a quilt. On Mount Olympus, veiled in perpetual dusk and dawn, the gods built palaces of marble and mist. Zeus married wise Hera, whose peacocks trailed stardust a meter wandered the fields, teaching wheat to bow in the breeze. Athena stepped fully grown from Zeus's forehead, her owl eyes calm as library lamps Apollo drove the sun chariot so slowly that every flower had time to turn its face. Artemis led her nymphs in moonlit dances, where no footfall broke a twig. Far below, mortals learned to plant olive trees and tell time by the shadows. They built small altars where they left honey cakes and quiet thanks. The gods in turn visited in disguises, a swan, a bull, a shower of gold, always leaving behind a story soft enough to lull a child to sleep. And so the world turned, season by season, myth by myth. When you hear thunder, it is only Zeus clearing his throat before a lullaby. When you smell rain on warm stone, Poseidon is rocking the cradle of the sea. When you see an owl glide past the moon, Athena is turning a page in the great book of dreams. Let your breath match the tide in, out. Let your thoughts drift like dandelion seeds on the breath of Hermes, the gentle messenger who carries sandals of silence. The cave in Crete still smells of time. The stone Cronus swallowed still rests somewhere, smooth as a worry stone. The goat Amalthea grazes in star pastures, her bell a distant tinkle. You are safe, you are held as Gaia once held the Titans, as Rhea once held Zeus. The myths are blankets, the gods are nightlights. The dark is only the fold between one dream and the next. Far north of Olympus, where snow falls in silent feathers, another cradle once waited. In the iron-rooted land of Asgard, 9 realms hung like beads on the great ash tree Yggdrasil, its leaves whispering lullabies in a language older than sorrow. Beneath its branches, the first giants stirred, born of frost and the slow drip of melting stars. From the meeting of fire and ice rose Ymir, vast and gentle, dreaming the dreams that became rivers. While he slept, the warmth of his body birthed the first gods, Odin, Vili, and Ve, quiet as snowfall. They walked the newborn world with bare feet, listening. When Ymir's dreams grew too heavy, they lifted the sky from his skull and set it high, so the world could breathe. From his blood they made the quiet seas, from his bones the sleeping mountains, from his hair the forests that sigh in the night wind. Odin, wisest and most wakeful, traded one eye for a single sip from Mimir's well. The water tasted of forgotten lullabies, and in its reflection he saw every story that would ever be told. He hung himself from Yggdrasil for 9 soft nights, not in pain, but in patience, until the runes drifted down like snowflakes, each carrying a secret gentle enough for sleep. Beside the world tree, the Norns watered the roots with dew collected in silver cups. Urd, Verdandi, Skuld, they spun, they measured, they cut, but always with the tenderness of mothers tucking in a child. Their threads glimmered, gold for joy, moss green for growth, midnight blue for rest. In Asgard's golden hall, Odin's ravens, thought and memory, returned each dusk, settling on his shoulders like feathered scarves. They spoke in murmurs. The world still turns, the world still dreams. Across the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge that arches like a cat's yawn, Heimdall stood watch. His ears were so keen he could hear wool growing on sheep and eyelids closing in distant villages. Yet he never startled the sleepers. He only smiled and adjusted the bridge's glow to a softer hue. Thor, mighty but kind-hearted, kept his hammer Mjolnir wrapped in cloud flannel so its thunder would not wake the children. When storms were needed, he let the hammer fall gently, like a father tapping a bedside table to say, "All is well." His goats, Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder, pulled his chariot at the pace of a rocking chair. Freya, golden as late daylight, rode her boar Hildisvini through fields of rye. Her falcons circled overhead, dropping feathers that became dreams of flight. In her hall, Sesrumnir, the seats were always warm, and the fire never crackled too loudly. She kept a necklace, Brasengamen, that caught starlight and released it slowly, like a nightlight for the entire world. Loki, shapeshifter and storyteller, sometimes slipped into the shape of a salmon and swam the quiet rivers. Other times, he became a mare and galloped the moonlit plains, mane streaming like silk. His tricks were never cruel in the dark hours, only invitations to laugh softly in dreams. Once he clipped the hair of Sif, Thor's wife, and replaced it with strands of living gold spun by dwarves. The new hair grew while she slept, and she woke to find sunlight braided into every lock. Beneath the earth, in the realm of the dwarves, forges glowed like sleepy embers. Brock and Eitri hammered gifts for the gods, a spear that never missed its mark, but always returned to the hand like a loyal dog. A ship, Skidbladnir, that folded into a pocket yet carried every dreamer across calm seas. A boar of gold that ran faster than thought, yet left no hoofprints in the snow. Even the monsters were gentle in the hush of night. Fenrir the great wolf allowed the gods to bind him with a ribbon woven from the sound of cat footsteps, the breath of fish, and the roots of mountains. He lay down willingly, knowing the ribbon would hold only until the world was ready to dream a new dream. Jörmungandr, the Midgard serpent, encircled the earth like a mother's arm, keeping the oceans from spilling into the void. His breathing was the tide, slow, steady, eternal. And so the Norse night settled, soft as down. The auroras were Freya's veil, fluttering in a breeze that carried no chill. The stars were the eyes of fallen heroes, blinking slowly so as not to disturb the sleeper. Yggdrasil's leaves turned over one by one, each rustle a page in the great book of rest. Let your thoughts drift along the roots of the world tree, down, down, to where the dragon Nidogr gnaws gently, not in malice, but to keep the tree awake just enough to dream. Let your breath match the tide Jörmungandr cradles. Let your heart beat with the muffled thunder of Thor's distant hammer. You are held in the 9 realms as surely as Midgard is held in the serpent's coil. The gods watch, but they do not wake you. The giants sleep beneath the mountains. Their snores the low rumble of earthquakes that rock no cradles. Close your eyes tighter, tighter, until the dark behind them becomes the velvet of chaos, the same velvet that birthed Gaia, the same velvet that cradles Ymir's dreams. Far across the wine-dark sea, where the lotus-eaters drift on perfumed breezes, another tale unfurls as softly as a sail at rest. In the cradle of the Nile, where papyrus whispers secrets to the moon, the sky goddess Nut arched her star-spangled body over the earth each night. Her lover Geb lay beneath her, green with fields and gentle with sleep. Between them, the air god Shu held them apart, with hands as light as breath, so the world would have room to dream. Every evening, Nut swallowed the sun disk whole, letting it travel through her body like a slow ember. By dawn she birthed it anew, golden and warm, upon the horizon. Her children, Osiris, Isis, Set, Nephthys, watched this ritual with the patience of reeds. Osiris, green-skinned and kind, taught mortals to plant barley and sing lullabies to the river Isis. His sister wife wove spells from moonlight and the sound of moth wings. But envy stirs even in dreams. Set, lord of red deserts, fashioned a coffin beautiful as a beetle's wing. At a feast where the wine flowed like twilight, he invited Osiris to lie within just for a moment's rest. The lid closed with a sigh, and the coffin drifted down the Nile on a current soft as forgetting. Isis searched the world, her tears becoming the first lotus petals. She found the coffin grown into a tamarisk tree within a palace pillar, and with a whisper she freed her husband's body, pieced it together with linen bandages scented of myrrh. From the fragments, Horus was conceived, a falcon-headed child whose eyes held both dawn and dusk. Set challenged him, but their battles were fought in the quiet language of wind and sand. One eye of Horus was lost, yet the moon took it gently and wore it as a lantern for night travelers. Thoth, ibis-headed scribe, recorded every wound in a book bound with silence, then healed them with words that tasted of honey. In the Duat, the underworld, Osiris ruled as a king of rest. Souls arrived on boats, rowed by the slow pulse of the heart. Anubis, jackal-headed and soft-footed, weighed each heart against a feather. If it balanced, the soul entered the field of reeds, endless wheat swaying under starlight, where every harvest was a memory of home. If it tipped the scale, Amit waited, not with jaws of terror, but with the patience of a nursemaid who knows some dreams must be devoured to make room for gentler ones. Above, Ra sailed his solar bark through the hours. At noon he was Capri, the scarab rolling the sun like a pearl. At dusk he was Atum, old and content, leaning on his staff of twilight. The barca's oars dipped without sound, and the crew, gods of minutes and seconds, counted heartbeats instead of strokes. Bastet, cat goddess, curled in every sunbeam, purring the world into afternoon naps. Her eyes, green as Nile water, reflected every cradle in Egypt. Hathor, cow-horned and gentle, played her sistrum so softly that only babies and lotuses heard the music. Bes, dwarf god of bedrooms, danced on the thresholds of houses, his ugly, beautiful face scaring away nightmares with laughter too quiet to wake the sleeper. Even the Sphinx kept watch with the stillness of warm stone. Her riddle was not a puzzle, but a lullaby. What walks on 4 legs at dawn, 2 at noon, and 3 at dusk, yet never leaves the cradle of earth? The answer, human life, was whispered back by the wind, and the Sphinx smiled, closing her eyes until the next dreamer passed. Let your breath match the Nile's slow current, in, out. Let your thoughts drift on Ra's bark, past the 12 gates of night, each guarded by a serpent who exhales only mist. The lotus closes its petals now, one by one. The scarab rolls the sun below the horizon, tucking it in like a glowing coal. Nut's star body lowers gently until Geb's fields brush her fingertips. You are held in the space between sky and earth, as Shu once held them apart. The feather of Ma'at rests on your heart. It does not stir. The field of reeds waits, but there is no hurry, only the slow sway of barley under starlight. Let the hush fold around you. like linen cooled in moonlight, until the world itself is a cradle of whispers. Far to the east, where dawn first touches the earth with rose gold fingers, the great dragon kings coil beneath the rivers of China. Their scales shimmer like the inside of abalone shells, and their breath is the mist that rises from lotus ponds at twilight. In the celestial palace above the clouds, the Jade Emperor sits upon a throne carved from silence. His court is quiet. The star gods polish constellations with sleeves of dusk. The moon rabbit pounds elixir so gently that only the tides hear the rhythm. Long ago, when the sky had 10 suns, the archer Ho Yi drew his bow, not in anger, but in sorrow. One by one, he nudged 9 suns behind the horizon, leaving the 10th to warm the world without scorching it. His wife, Chang'e, drank the elixir of immortality meant for them both. She rose slowly, like a petal on warm air, until she settled in the moon palace. There she tends the cassia tree whose leaves fall as silver rain, and her white rabbit keeps her company, grinding medicine that tastes of forgotten lullabies. On earth, the yellow river cradles the first villages. The dragon Gong, whose horns curve like crescent moons, once bumped the pillar holding sky and earth. The world tilted, but the goddess Nuwa did not scold. She melted 5 colored stones over a fire soft as candlelight, patching the sky until the stars stayed in their places. The leftover droplets became the magpies that form a bridge across the Milky Way once a year, so lovers separated by rivers of light may meet in dreams. In the bamboo groves, the panda spirits roll like black and white clouds, munching shoots that taste of morning dew. The phoenix, Feng Huang, spreads wings of sunrise and sunset, singing a note that only sleeping children can hear. Her mate, the dragon, curls around mountains, his heartbeat the low drum of distant thunder that never wakes the farmer. Beneath the sea, the dragon king of the east holds court in a palace of coral and pearl. His daughters weave robes from spider silk and moonlight, so fine that a single sleeve can cover a province in fog. When storms are needed, they loosen one thread, and the rain falls like a mother's tears, gentle, cleansing, brief. In the forests of Japan, the kami rest in every stone and stream. Susanoo, once wild as winter wind, now sleeps beneath the roots of a camellia tree, his sword grasscutter sheathed in moss. Amaterasu, the sun goddess, emerges from her cave each morning, but only after the rooster has crowed 3 times, softly, so the world may turn over in its sleep. Her brother Tsukuyomi bathes the night in silver, driving his moon chariot at the pace of a snail crossing a leaf. In the cedar groves of Mount Fuji, tanuki drum their bellies in rhythms that mimic heartbeats, lulling travelers into naps beneath the pines. Kitsune, fox spirits, light the paths with lantern tails, guiding lost children home without ever waking their parents. The great serpent Orochi dreams, coiled around a sock jar, his 8 heads snoring in harmony. Even the cherry blossoms fall slowly here, each petal a promise that spring will return. They land on the shoulders of sleepers, like blessings too light to feel. Let your breath match the slow unfurling of a lotus, in, out. Let your thoughts drift on the magpie bridge, where footsteps leave no print. The cassia tree on the moon drops 1 leaf. It becomes a boat for your dreams. The panda rolls over, sighing contentedly. Nua's five-colored stones glow faintly, holding the sky in place. You are held in the space between earth and heaven, as the dragon kings hold the rivers. The elixir Chang'e brews is for you. Sip it slowly. It tastes of starlight and forgiveness. The cherry blossoms settle on your eyelids, pink as the inside of a seashell. Let the night stretch wider, wider still, until time itself loosens like a ribbon in warm water. Let the myths braid together, Greek, Norse, Egyptian, Chinese, Japanese, into one long, slow tapestry of hush. Let every god, every creature, every star breathe in unison with you, in, out. We return to the cradle of the world, where Gaia still dreams beneath the olives. Her heartbeat is the slow pulse of tectonic plates, shifting only enough to rock the continents like a child in a hammock. Above her, Nut's star body arches. Below her, Ymir's bones settle deeper into frost. The dragon kings coil through the rivers that connect them all, their whiskers brushing the roots of Yggdrasil without waking the dragon Nidhugr. The Nile, the Yellow River, the Bifrost, the Milky Way, they are the same silver thread, seen from different windows. In this shared hush, the gods hold council, not in thunder, but in the language of eyelids closing. Zeus leans on his thunderbolt like a shepherd on a staff, eyes half-lidded. Odin's ravens perch on his shoulders, beaks tucked beneath wings. Ra's bark drifts on a current of shared starlight, crewed by the quietest oarsman of every pantheon. The Jade Emperor fans himself with a cloud. Amaterasu dims her radiance to a candle's glow. Even Loki, for once, sits still, carving a flute from a reed that will play only lullabies. They speak of the sleepers below, mortals tucked into beds of straw, silk, cedar, snow. They agree. Tonight the dreams will be gentle. No quests, no battles, no riddles that bite. Only fields of barley and wheat and rice swaying in the same breeze. Only boats that rock without destination. Only doors that open onto childhood rooms where the wallpaper still smells of rain. Athena unspools a thread from her loom. It becomes the horizon. Freya loosens a feather from her cloak. It becomes the moon. Isis releases a single tear. It becomes the dew that will kiss every sleeper's forehead at dawn. Chang'e drops a cassia petal. It becomes the soft weight on your chest that says, "Stay a little longer." The creatures join the vigil. Cerberus curls all three heads into one fluffy pile, tails thumping a muffled lullaby. Fenrir allows the ribbon to slacken. His breath warms the roots of the world tree. The Sphinx forgets her riddle and hums instead, a note that vibrates in the pyramids like a cat's purr. Tanuki drum their bellies in 3/4 time, waltz tempo for dreams. The moon rabbit pauses mid-pound, ears drooping in contentment. Far below, in the quietest chamber of the duat, Osiris opens his green arms. The field of reeds sways, and every stalk is a memory you are allowed to revisit without sorrow. Here is the scent of your grandmother's kitchen, the texture of a beloved dog's ear, the sound of rain on a tin roof when you were 5. They are yours to walk through barefoot, and no thorn will prick. In Asgard, the Valkyries lay down their spears and take up feather fans. They cool the brows of warriors who in dreams are only children again, chasing fireflies across meadows that have never known war. Thor's goats graze on clouds, chewing slowly, their bells muffled by mist. Even Mjolnir rests against a pillow of storm cloud, handle wrapped in lamb's wool. On Olympus, Apollo's lyre has only 3 strings left, low, lower, lowest. He plucks them in a chord that resolves only after 7 breaths. Artemis bathes her deer in a pool of reflected starlight. Their antlers drip silver onto the moss. Hermes, for once, walks instead of flies, sandals laced with dandelion fluff. In the bamboo groves, kitsune light lanterns that float upward and become fireflies. Each flicker is a memory you may keep or release. They will not judge. Suzanu's storm sword is sheathed in cherry blossoms. The petals close around the blade like lips around a secret. The great serpent Orochi exhales sock-scented breath that smells to you like warm milk and cinnamon. Time loosens further. Minutes stretch into slow honey. The gods begin to yawn, wide, contagious, cosmic. Zeus's yawn parts the clouds. Odin's loosens a constellation. Ra's dims the sun to ember. Even the jade emperor's fan slows until it is only a white moth fluttering against the dark. They take their places in the great cradle of night. Gaia curls beneath the continents. Nut lowers until her star toes brush Geb's fields. Ymir's frost melts into dew that waters every pantheon's gardens. The dragon kings form a living canopy, scales overlapping like shingles of dream. And you are the still point at the center. Your breath is the tide the serpent measures. Your heartbeat is the drum the tanuki follow. Your eyelids are the horizon Athena wove. Let the last threads settle. Let the final petals fall. Let the hush be complete. The gods sleep now, truly sleep. Zeus dreams of swan feathers. Freya dreams of falcons becoming doves. Isis dreams of lotuses that never close. Chang'e dreams of stepping back to earth, barefoot on cool grass. Odin dreams of both eyes open, seeing only peace. Their dreams pool together, a great quiet lake. You float on its surface, lighter than a lotus leaf. No oars, no shore, only the slow lap of water against the edges of the world. Somewhere, a nightingale sings a single note. It holds, until it becomes the space between heartbeats. Then it releases you. Sleep now. Sleep. For 30 minutes, for 30 years, for the length of a god's yawn. The myths are woven. The cradle rocks. The dark is only the blanket pulled up to your chin. Good night. Good night. And may the morning find you exactly where you wish to wake, safe, held, and gently luminous with borrowed starlight.